Yeah, good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Hope you're well. 30-unit lock wins, Coastal Carolina over. As we discovered last week, they played Georgia Southern in what was over and over, and they played, I think the total we needed was 52 or 53. We had that by halftime, and it was like 24-17 first quarter. And they ended up 45-40. So they played an 85. We only needed 53, but it went over with no stress, just the way we like our overs. You got to love it when the over's over by halftime, I think. Anyway, a brilliant one. A lot of good picks yesterday. We had a few losers, but on the whole, we really hit it. Let's quickly go through that. Notre Dame Pitt over. It goes over. Wisconsin Indy under. It goes under. The Air Force Connecticut. I knew that was an under because I said Air Force is starting to play the Army Navy. The total was 64. It was like a 30-point game because Air Force. Here's where Vegas screws up. Vegas still thinks they score a lot and they give up a lot, but they've changed. Vegas cannot catch it because the analytics just takes the totals, right? It takes total divided by so many games. Said, oh, they're going to score 30. They're going to give up 30. It's not true anymore. They're playing Army Navy football. They are running the ball, running the clock. And it was like a 26-16 game again. It was like a 40, and the total was 64. So keep your eye on Air Force under. The totals will be too high. Michigan under 47.5. Got lucky there. Or 48.5, I believe. And they win, I think it was 24-22. So it was a 46. I think they kicked a field goal at the end. Surprising some of the scoring, but we did stay under, so that was a good one. South Florida Navy. Now we looked on Google and it said Navy quarterback out. Well, the Navy quarterback played. What the fuck? If you're not going to give accurate information on Google, what's going on, or did you fuck around? But he did play, and then they ended up winning. I'm glad I didn't bet that game, but I liked, I probably liked it over before. And when the quarterback's out, I just stay away from it. And he plays, and they go over. It's like, really? They're fucking around with it. Arizona Cincy, I play over. That's a winner. I avoid A&M South Carolina. So that was the way my day went yesterday. The game I liked, but it ignored. I didn't play, lost. They were down 30-3 or something. I don't know what happened to them. North Texas over UAB, laid the 11th. That was easy. Marshall, our free pick. Go Marshall, beat Georgia State. Who does Georgia State play next week? I got to love it. So we hit the free play Marshall. When you're hitting Marshall as your free play and it's winning, like we did Coastal Carolina, that, anybody can pick Alabama. Yeah, but not anybody can pick Marshall. And again, it's combination, finding a Marshall and finding Georgia State with the 40 defense. So we hammered that. Texas Tech, we end up playing lane 23. They win by 50. They're a very strong team. Our first loser, Alabama, Oklahoma. We have Alabama even. They outscore them. We lose on an 80-yard pick six. Really? So this Ty Simpson, who's so great, ain't so great. This is a game he should win, and you don't lose it by a pick six. We have USC over Iowa. That wins because it's even. USC gets the win there. We avoid San Jose State, Nevada. We thought about it, but we didn't play it. And Nevada won by 40. I'm like, what the hell happened there? So San Jose State, I'm confused because they get all these yards, but they don't score, and then they have a terrible defense. So we got to avoid San Jose State. Let's see. Georgia Tech, I do lose with BC. Georgia Tech had to win. They did, but we're laying 10, and it lost. Duke, Virginia, I go over on the game. Once we know the quarterback's playing, we lose by 1. It was, I think it was, what did we need? We needed 52, and it was 51. So we lost by a point there. What can you say? Western Kentucky covers against Middle Tennessee, the Z team. We didn't play it, but just a note of betting against the Z team. Let's see. I warned you about Tennessee. They're laying 41. I said they don't play in the fourth quarter. They didn't, and they didn't cover. They won like 40-9. They won by 30. I think they won by 33, but in the teaser, you'd have laid 35. So you wouldn't have covered, even though you should have covered, but that's the problem, laying over 40. I did not play that. My lock, 30 unit, Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, 59. I go over 53 when I see it. Beautiful. It's locked with a game today, the other half of the 30 unit, but that's our 30 unit play. What can I say? It was beautiful. I like Coastal Carolina in the 9.5, which won also. I think it was like 45-40, but I knew the over was a better play. So hitting the over 53, it was an 85. Beautiful. Utah, Baylor, I go over because Baylor always goes over. And I'll tell you, Utah scores a ton of points. This was over 59, so it was over 53, and this got to 80 also. So the overs were coming in, and Utah they score a lot. I didn't play Mississippi. They won by 10, laying 11. You would have laid 5 against Florida, but they did struggle a little bit. Washington, I knew they would be good because they came off the loss. They killed Purdue. I didn't play it. I think Sam Houston beat Delaware. I mean, Delaware, I don't know what happened there. Georgia, Texas over. I hit that. It's over 43.5. And we got the late touchdown to make it a 45-point game. I think it was 31-14 or something like that. Anyway, or 35-10, I think. Yeah, it's 35-10. We got over 43. Boom. So I hit Georgia over. Ohio State, what can I say? I hear the quarterback's out for UCLA. Now, I was going to play Ohio State, but I locked it. And I'm laying 54.5, and they get 58 on me. With a minute left, they score a touchdown because the spread's 34, and they need the touchdown to cover. It's 41-10. We're going to win. It's 51. There's the 2-minute warning. Take 3 knees. The game's over. Not Ohio State. They gotta score a touchdown to cover the spread. So they win. So 41-10 was 31. The line's 34. So they score to cover the damn line, which fucks my under. Ohio State, some of these teams are very conscious what the totals are or what the spread is. And Ohio State's one of those teams. I was surprised that UCLA scored a touchdown. I thought they'd get shut out. And there was a 100-yard kickoff return by Ohio State. So UCLA scores, and then Ohio State runs the kickback. So that's 14 points. That killed us right there. And that's it. I don't know what happened to TCU Baylor. So a very good day. Very strong 30-unit lock wins. You can't argue with that. Hello, David. I was right about the UConn game. Thank you. When you start seeing Air Force, San Jose State should have been high scoring, and it wasn't. And then you look at the box score, and they're running more. So now San Jose State's an under, but Vegas will still screw up. So whoever they play, or Air Force, so whoever they play next week, the total will be in the 50s. It'll get nowhere near it because they're just running the ball. I think UConn covered. If you played UConn -1, you won because I think UConn won the game. But again, the totals are all screwed up. I mean, here's where Vegas. This is where Vegas is weak. This is what happens when you rely on AI instead of intuition. This is my whole bitch about AI versus human. Us being human saw the correction Air Force made and was running and playing low scoring games now because you just don't get the ball much. So here's a 64 total. Why was this game 64? You kind of can score, but if Air Force is going to run 15 play drives and eat up the whole quarter, you're not going to get that much opportunity. But the algorithms and the AI are looking at the whole year where Air Force was playing high scoring games. So they're assuming they're high scoring and the average won't move much. So you're going to keep getting this 60-point Air Force. And we're going to see who they play. We might just lock it next week if it's another 60-point total and they're going to play a 30-point game. This is where Vegas fucks up, and this is where we catch them. We caught them with the Georgia a couple years ago with their six defense when they played a lot of games 30 to nothing, 30 to 10. And the total was 50, and we'd go under 56, and it'd be 38 to nothing, and we'd win all the time. Ohio State's a little confusing because Ohio State has a 7 defense, and yet they play these 48 to 10 games. You're playing 58s. It really doesn't make sense. Now, again, they had a kickoff return, and then they got to score with a minute left, up 31 points. So you can't really trust Ohio. And we don't. All right. So that's yesterday. Really big day. I laid away from A&M, but I played Texas Tech. The only one I regret was not playing was Washington Purdue because I knew Washington off a loss, and they were a very good team. And Purdue, and again, traveling to the West Coast. So that was it. But otherwise, I hit my first teaser was Notre Dame over Michigan under, and I won the Michigan under, which I was sweating on. So I knew it would be a good day. And then we hit Coastal Carolina, and we should have won Ohio State. But we got bad breaks there. Okay, let's look at today, a Sunday. So we start with our London game. And let's see, we've got Washington up 13-6. I liked Washington, but I played it over 41, which I doubt I could get there. Washington, the ball at the 2. So let me guess. Did Miami go for it on 4th down? Probably. Of course, 4th and goal at the 2. Tagliavoa incomplete pass to Waddle. So instead of running the ball, it was 3rd and goal at the 2. Ollie Gordon ran for nothing. 2nd and goal at the 4. 1st and goal at the 7, and you get no points, and you wonder why the coach sucks. That's what kills these overs. That's what kills these overs are these going for 4th downs. All right. So that's what kills you is these. Let's go for it on, on third and goal at the 2, we gain no yards. So of course, at fourth and goal, we'll score because we couldn't on third down. So you wasted the clock, and then you come back, and now Washington's got the ball at the 2-yard line. So what do you think? Well, if they have it, they have it at the 2. No. It should be 13-9. You need the field goal anyway. Don't act like those points don't count. We need a touchdown or nothing. This is why the coach should be fired. Because not only did you not score, but you killed momentum. You had driven down to the 2, kick your field goal, get your points, keep the momentum. Nope. Because AI doesn't account for momentum. Anyway, 13-6. I need 41. I got 20. So I need 3 touchdowns, but it's just the middle of the third quarter. It is doable. All right. San Diego, 43.5 to Jacksonville at Jacksonville. Herbert against Lawrence. Both teams are E teams. San Diego the 20 defense, Jacksonville the 24. But even that, I've got to look more into the last 5 and get my totals, but they're pretty close. Pittsburgh, 5.5, 48.5 to Cincinnati. Flacco against Rodgers. Cincinnati an over team with a 33 defense. Pitt an E team with a 24. They got killed by San Diego. They're still in first place at 5-4. They need the game. They're at home. Look for Rodgers to play much better. Not that he played bad. San Diego was all over him. Green Bay at the Giants. Green Bay 7, 41.5. Green Bay an E team with the 20 defense, and Micah Parsons, the Giants, a W with 27. Love against Winston. Are you kidding me? Winston? So I guess they have problems with Russell Wilson. So they're starting Winston, who is terrible. Now, the other thing is Green Bay is on a 2-game losing streak, losing somehow to Carolina and then getting your ass kicked last week by Philadelphia, right? So I can see the Philadelphia loss, but if you know you've got Philadelphia and you got Carolina, you better not be flat against Carolina. So now there's a big problem with Green Bay. We will see. But with the Giants, you got Winston. I mean, what the hell is he doing there? Chicago Mini is 2.5 and 48. Caleb against, I think it's JJ McCarthy. Chicago an over team with the 27 defense. A lot of injuries on their defense. Minnesota an E team with the 24 defense. So considering they didn't play anybody in preseason, they've had nothing but defensive injuries the whole year. So, yeah, it really helps not playing preseason. But I think these guys were out week 1. Minnesota 2.5. I don't know what to think. I mean, Caleb's terrible. They keep running these ring around the rosy plays, and then JJ McCarthy's terrible. He hurt his hand against the helmet, so he's playing with an injured hand. Honestly, I can't tell either team. Minnesota with the 24 defense, the Bears with the 27. So you would think it's being over, but it's Caleb and JJ McCarthy. I don't know. Houston goes to Tennessee. Houston 5.5, 37.5. Seems like a bit low. We got Mills against Ward. We got Houston as a B team with the 17 with Mills. They scored a lot last week. I don't know if it was Mills or the defense. Tennessee a Z team with the 29. Tampa Bay Buffalo, good game. Buffalo is 6 and 46.5. Now there's weather here, I told you. So, but I'm not seeing the total go down. It was 47. It's still basically 47. It's not like 40. It didn't go down to like 42. So it was warmer here yesterday. Today it's really windy here. So I don't know, but it's here, not in Buffalo. We'll see. Tampa Bay, an E team with a 23 defense. Buffalo, a B team with a 22. Although I wonder about that. You got Baker against Allen, two strong quarterbacks. I still think you'll get point. How much is the win? How much does a 15-mile-an-hour win, if it is a 15-mile-an-hour win, affect it? You run a little bit more, but you're still going to pass. You still have to. You got quarterbacks who can throw the ball, so I don't think this will be 7-3, right? I think it's a normal game. Carolina, Atlanta 3.5, 41.5, down from 42. You got Young against Penix. Young stinks. Carolina, an under team with the 22. Atlanta, an under team with the 23. Have the worst coach in the league, I believe. It's killing Penix. They should get DeBoer. If they got DeBoer, Atlanta would be a playoff team. Because they wouldn't have to play Oklahoma, right? Both unders, both 22 defenses, and Young's terrible. Penix, very good quarterback. Frisco, Arizona, Frisco 3.5, 48.5. Purdy is playing. Both are E teams with 24 defenses. Purdy against Brissett. We'll get into teaser trends right after I finish this. I just want to get the lines out. The Rams in Seattle, the Rams 3, 48.5. Darnell against Stafford. Both are A teams, both with 18 defenses. Very strong teams. KC, Denver. KC 4.5, up from 3.5, and 45. KC, the A team, 18 defense. Denver, probably an A team, 17 defense. Mahomes against Knicks. So you got two strong defenses. Pacheco's out for KC. The running backs from Ohio State. Dobbins is out for Denver. It's funny, he wasn't any good at Baltimore. He keeps getting hurt. But they got that other guy from Central Florida is going to be the running back today. Knicks, two strong defenses. Be a good game. Baltimore, Cleveland, here's your free play. Take Baltimore. Baltimore is 7.5, 38.5. This will be windy off the lake of Cleveland. So this is a tough game. We played at -1. Baltimore -1. They're an over team with the 26 defense. Cleveland a W with the 23. The win will be a neutralizer. Gabriel, I don't know what he'll do. Lamar can run a little bit, so maybe it's more of a running, probably a low-scoring game with the win. As you can see, there's a lot more win here than, I guess, in Buffalo. Lamar against Gabriel. Lamar is playing. This is your free play. Detroit at Philly. Philly 2.5, 47. We've got Detroit an A team with the 22 defense, Philly an E with the 21. The tight end for Detroit's out, whatever his name is. We got Golf against Hurts. Philly, this is a game Philly gets up for, right? They're at home. They're favored. This will be a very strong effort from Philly. Detroit usually falls apart in a big game like this, so we'll see. In our last game, Dallas, Oakland, Dallas, 3.5 and 50. Dallas, the over team, as we know, with the terrible 31 defense, and Oakland, a Z team. They don't score with the 24 defense, and Dak against Geno Smith. Now, the one thing here is Oakland had to play a lot of games without Brock Bowers. So are they really a Z team with Brock Bowers, which gets you to two different teams, the Brock Bauer team and the non-Brock Bauer team? And that's a big difference. Usually you see it with quarterbacks like Joe Burrow playing and Joe Burrow not playing. Usually it's a different team. However, with Flacco, he's kind of Joe Burrowed it up a little bit. So Cincinnati needs to have a Flacco who is experienced, who can throw, to chase 16 times a game, versus you bring in a guy who's not very strong. Um, and so you have to go with that, who can't like this Browning can't, he's not as experienced to do that. All right, let's go through teaser trends. San Diego 10-2 is a road favorite. Play against Jacksonville 22-4. Pitt Cincinnati play against Cincy as a road dog 6-0. Play against Cincy 22-4, and play against them this year 8-1. Pitt really doesn't have a big trend as a home favorite, but Cincy just doesn't cover. They're not a good covering team. Green Bay and the Giants, there is no trend at all. Green Bay is usually a pretty bad road favorite, a bet against road favorite. They might win, but they don't win by a lot on the road. Chicago Mini 7-1 is a home favorite, 22-5 the last 2 years. Can we count last year with Darnell? No. Play against the Bears as a road dog 4-0. Houston, now this is a huge trend, 25-3 in a teaser. Play against Tennessee 23-3. Play against Tennessee is a home dog 7-0. Play against play on Houston on the road 8-1, and Houston's 9-0 in a teaser this year. However, we don't have CJ Stroud. We got Mills. Does that matter? I don't think enough. Can we use the Tennessee play against 23-3? Well, not really, because obviously Cam Ward wasn't there last year. Who knows who the coach is? They switched coaches, and then they fired the new guy, so now they're on their third coach in a year. So it's very hard. But I think you can use the trends because, they couldn't win with Vrabel. They're not winning. Ward's terrible. Again, play against Tennessee's 8-1 and play on Houston's 9-0 this year. So I think it all comes down to the Houston killer defense. Tampa Bay Buffalo. Tampa 6-1 is a road dog, 23-4 in a teaser. Buffalo 10-2 is a home favorite. Play against them as a home favorite this year, 3-0. Buffalo, yes, you can use the trend. It is Baker and the coach, so it's 23-4. So Tampa fucking covers, and they are a strong road dog. So I like Tampa today, weather permitting. I don't think the cold weather will bother Tampa like it used to, because Baker played at Oklahoma and some of these other places. I don't think the cold weather is an issue. Buffalo struggled. Let's just face it. They couldn't handle Miami last week. They beat KC. I think it'll be like a KC game, 28-24, something like that. That's why I played the over, not knowing the wind's going to perk up. Atlanta, Carolina, no trend. San Francisco, Arizona. Arizona 5-0 is a home dog. Frisco 3-0 is a road favorite. Play against Arizona this year, 8-1. Arizona plays a lot of close games. In this type, you get Frisco -3, 3.5. They'll probably, Frisco will probably win by 3 and cover. Seattle and the Rams, Darnell and Stafford. Seattle 6-1 is a road dog, 8-1 in the teaser. The Rams 24-4 in a teaser last year and this year. 8-1 is this year. Play against the Rams as a home favorite, 6-1, which I don't see that, but okay. But I look at the 24-4 record. I think this is a close game. I don't know if the Rams win, but I think this will be a 2-point game or something like that. KC, Denver 13-0 at home the last 2 years. Well, It can't be just this year because this is week 11, so that's 10 games of which they're not all at home. So 13 at home and at home, 28-2 with Bo Nix, 10-0 in a teaser this year. I don't know what else you can look for there. You've got it. You've got them very strong at home. Yeah, 13-0 at home makes sense because you played 8 home games last year and you played probably 5 this year. So 13-0 at home, 28-2 in a teaser, 10-0 this year in a teaser. Go Denver. Bo Nix, you just got to love Sean Payton. He just knows how to win. Even if they're getting blown out by the Giants, they find a way to win. So look for this to be a close game. Denver could beat them. They just went to Buffalo and KC lost. They've lost to San Diego. They're a little bit less than they've been. So, yeah, they lost to Philly. They lost San Diego, and they lost to Baltimore or Buffalo. 2 of them on the road. Philly was at home. But notice they're all pretty good defenses. Well, San Diego and Philly is. So Denver, 17 defense. This is a field goal game in my mind. Even without the running back, J.K. Dobbins. They have other running back. Every team's got 4 or 5 running backs. Baltimore, Cleveland are free play. Baltimore 11-2 as a road favorite, and they are a road favorite here. Will the win bother them? I'm sure they've played in the win before. Lamar, not the best quarterback, doesn't really zip the ball, but neither does Dylan Gabriel does not zip the ball. This is probably a very good, it's a free play, Baltimore -1. They have to win. They're a game behind Pittsburgh, and they're nowhere near the wild card, so they have to win the division. They have to win this game. And Pitt and Cincy, we'll see if Pitt wins that game. But so, A, they have to win, and Cleveland stinks. But B, the win, it could be an under also. So it could be a double free pick. Detroit and Philly play against Philly this year, 8-1, surprisingly, because the numbers have been high. Not that they're losing, but the numbers are high, and then they win, and they don't, like at Kansas City. Well, Kansas City covered because they were a home dog. So if you bet against Philly, but Philly won the game at KC. Philly is 12-3 as a home favorite. They play very well at home. You're not stopping the tush push. Detroit falls apart when they play a good defense because they just want to run the ball. Philadelphia will not let them run. Jalen Carter will get Golf off his spot. Philly's defense, just outstanding. Philly's offense with Barkley and the receivers. Detroit, their defense stinks. Well, they couldn't stop Washington last week. They never stopped. I think they stopped Washington one time until late in the fourth when they brought in the new quarterback. But basically, Washington ran it up and down on them. And the only reason that Detroit won the way they did is they were on long drives. They were like Army-Navy. They'd go on a 12-play, 80-yard drive that 7 minutes. That's how they won, not because of their defense, because they held the ball a long time. Well, they're not going to hold it for a long time against Philly. St. Thomas isn't going to be open on his slants, and they're not going to be able to run the ball, and Jalen Carter is going to kill Golf. So, again, the Lions against a good defense will not show up. And Dallas, Oakland, play against Oakland as a home dog, 7-1. Overall, in a teaser, the best teams to just play, no matter where they are. This is just take the total. The Rams, New England, who's already won. You've got Houston is very strong, as we mentioned. Denver is very strong. Seattle and Tampa. So we have LA and Seattle. So this should be a close game. And then Tampa's good in a teaser. But notice Buffalo's not. Baltimore, Kansas City. They're probably good, but not 85% good. Play against teams, Tennessee. So we got Houston, Tennessee. Cincinnati is weak against the teaser. Arizona, Philadelphia, New Orleans, the Jets, and Jacksonville. So the weak teams you bet against and the strong teams you bet on, which is all my theories. And that's where I get my theories, looking at them in teaser world. Let's see if we got more points for us. 2nd and 1 at the Washington 11 going into the fourth quarter. 13-6 still, so that's 26. So we need a big fourth quarter. All right. Let's look ahead at college football for next week. Now we're looking for this Air Force. They're our bitch. This Air Force under and Coastal Carolina over. See, this is why you look at everything and you don't just play Alabama and Ohio State, because we didn't win with Alabama or Ohio State yesterday. We won with Coastal Carolina and Marshall. That's why you look at Sun Belt and AAC games, Mountain West. All right. Week 13. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. So we got MAC. Three MAC games on Tuesday. Jesus. 2 more MAC games on Wednesday. So it's MAC, and MAC. Mac and cheese. Friday, Florida State, NC State. NC State scores a bunch, but got killed yesterday by somebody. Miami killed them. Hawaii goes to Vegas. Should be high scoring. We'll see. Louisville goes to SMU. SMU needs it. Louisville now with the loss is in big trouble. Rutgers goes to Ohio State. This game will be 33 and the total will be 50. Actually, the total will be a little bit more. Rutgers scores a lot. But you can't trust Ohio State because they look at the line and they play to the line instead of the game. Very dangerous team. Minnesota goes to Northwestern. Northwestern played a good game against Michigan, 24-22. So Northwestern's probably live especially if they're the dog. Missouri goes to Oklahoma. Now Oklahoma will be flat. Missouri, I looked. The quarterback played like they put up like 45 points on Old Mississippi State, who doesn't have a great defense. And I looked at it, and the runner ran for 300 yards against Old Mississippi State yesterday. So Missouri, no, their quarterback didn't play, but all they did was run it down their throat. They're not going to be able to run it down Oklahoma's throat. Oklahoma, though, after beating Alabama, and they didn't do anything. They only got 200 total yards. They got the pick 6. This could be an underplay because Missouri's got a pretty good defense. Charlotte against Georgia. Charlotte's a Z team. Georgia will be laying 40 here. Okay, at least Charlotte's a Division I team, although they're a Z team. Georgia, big win over Texas, and we got the over. I thought Texas would score more, but Arch Manning really looks like shit. He doesn't even throw the ball right. He kind of throws it sidearm. I don't know. That guy stinks. Oh, my God. Georgia, I like Georgia's quarterback. Looked pretty good. Their defense looked like my Georgia defense. They have Texas's number. Be careful with that. I'd like to see Georgia, Oklahoma once. Let's see. Old D, Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern, as we see, is an over team. We'll figure out what Old D is. Where's Old D? This is why I write all the things down so I don't have to go back to the computer. Old D, old D. They played. There they are. They're a B team with a 23 defense. They beat Troy 33-0. Not probably the team we want to go the 23 defense over. We got to see what the over in the 50s will take it over. BYU at Cincinnati. This is a BYU. I doubt they'll be the dog, and I don't know what the score was yesterday. I went to bed. I didn't see it, and I didn't check this. I didn't have BYU. I was going to play them over. I circled the over was 50 with TCU because TCU scored. But what's funny is BYU and Utah with these strong defenses play a lot of over games. Utah put up a 50, and they played an 80-point game with my Baylor. God, you gotta love Baylor and their overs, don't you? K-State goes to Utah. Look out, Utah 8-2, big win. North Texas and Rice. We had North Texas yesterday against UAB, and they killed them. And they're a very strong team, and they have a good defense. They're not just they score 60 and give up 60. They score, but they play a good defense. Rice, they're okay. Baylor goes to Arizona in what promises to be another 70-point game. Fajita, they went and played Cincinnati. Now, there was a stat they kept showing on the TV yesterday. Arizona hasn't allowed a 200-yard passer. Well, they haven't played Seth Robertson of Baylor. I guarantee you he gets over 200 yards against Arizona. It's just there's their play. It's the plays they call. It goes to it, and he's a fabulous quarterback. This should go way over here. Kansas, Iowa State. My Kansas, what happened to them this year? They're just not good. Arizona State, Colorado, but Arizona State Prime Junior is not there anymore for Colorado, and Arizona State's quarterback's out. We'll see how their backup's doing. East Car and UTSA. East Car an A team. UTSA not as strong as usual offensively. Alabama gets Eastern Illinois, a Division II team. Really? Okay. They're going to beat the shit out of them, but you can't bet it. Missouri State, Kennesaw State. I got to look at this game because Missouri State keeps winning. We have no idea who they are, but I keep going into these Conference USA teams, and they lose to Missouri State. So they might be our bitch next week. We got to see. Mercer against Auburn. And you know what happens the following week? We got Alabama, Auburn. That's Thanksgiving. God, we're coming to Thanksgiving. It's scary. Marshall goes to App State. I don't know if we can play Marshall again. We got to find ours. We got to see who Georgia State's playing and keep locking against it. But that's the art of war, bet against weakness, right? Liberty and Lou Tech. UConn goes to Florida Atlantic. Could be an over. Sam Houston plays Middle Tennessee. Both are Z teams. My Southern Miss, the quarterback didn't play. I had no idea my quarterback wasn't playing for something. They got killed, and I'm like, I didn't play it. And I'm looking at the box score. I was going to bet it over, and my quarterback did not play, Braxton. So I got to read up on him. Jacksonville State and Florida International, who seems to beat everybody. They won yesterday. They were a home dog to Liberty, and Florida International got the win. They're a good team that nobody knows about. Syracuse goes to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to kill them. They're going to kill them. They're going to kill them. This is they could get to 75 in this game. They obviously have to win. They've got the 2 losses. And now with Alabama with 2 losses, they got to stay ahead of them. You've got Georgia beat Texas. Texas has 3 losses. So they got to stay ahead of Texas. So look for Notre Dame. And Syracuse stinks. Their quarterback got knocked out. Who was the Notre Dame backup was the Syracuse quarterback. They were pretty good with him, but after him, their quarterback stinks. Notre Dame at home. Jesus will be there. We all know. Lou Holtz. Everybody will be there. Look for them to kill them and kill them and kill them. And it might be the last home game. You start getting into the last home game because there's 1 week left. They've played USC, so I think they got to play Stanford, which they'll kill. Again, Notre Dame. They played 3 tough teams. They lost to A&M and Miami. They beat USC. Otherwise, the Pitt game, I don't know. Arkansas, Texas. This used to be a great game. Texas got killed by Georgia. Arkansas. I'll tell you, this is going to be high scoring. Texas is not a good defense. You gave up a ton of points to Daggio. You gave up a lot of points to Tennessee. I think they played, or Oklahoma played Tennessee. There's a couple other games that Texas gave up some big points. And Arkansas can score a ton. Kentucky goes to Vandy or Daggio. They're 8-2. Now that Texas has 3 losses, Vanderbilt's in the driver's seat to get to the playoff. And you got Daggio, and Kentucky basically is not that good. This spread probably will be 7 or 8. So we'll go Daggio. Ooh, USC against Oregon. Wow. USC, I hate to say, is not number 17. They got them ranked 17. They're probably a top 10 team. Okay, who do they lose to? Okay, Notre Dame, top 10 team, and Illinois at 9 in the morning. So, but they're a good team. They beat Iowa, just like I thought. Basically, Iowa's defense, they just put you to sleep. If they keep USC down, we're betting Iowa under the rest of the next couple of games. Oregon, I think. Oh, we got a line. Oregon 13.5, 55. I love USC in 19.5 here. I love this more than I loved them against Notre Dame in 16, where we won. Okay, going to Notre Dame helps them. Oregon, we see Dante Moore is not all that, and okay, they beat Minnesota. They're not blowing out USC here. We got 13.5. Now, again, what will the line be tomorrow? I hate when they do this. The line's 13.5. I love SC in 19.5. Tomorrow it'll be 7, and we'll be going, huh? How does the line move 6.5, which is another problem of these fixed games, that they'll stick a line out there that isn't real. But right now, if USC, I might have to play USC in 19.5 today, because I don't think it'll be 13.5 tomorrow. Maybe it'll be 9 or 10, but I doubt it'll stay at 13.5. So I'll probably play USC. I'll look for another game, but I got to get lines, and who am I going to play it with? Michigan State goes to Iowa. Iowa's going to kill them. Michigan State lost to Penn State, who stinks, and they go to Iowa, who we see how good they are, or this is an under. But Michigan State doesn't have a defense. This is probably an Iowa play unless it's double digits, but they'll still probably kill them. Duke, North Carolina, this is the big rivalry there. This is the Michigan, Ohio State, USC, UCLA, Alabama, Auburn game in North Carolina, not Wake Forest, not NC State, but Duke, North Carolina. Please give us Duke as the dog. That's all I can say. Michigan goes to Maryland. I don't know if Maryland has quarterback play, but they didn't do shit yesterday. They got destroyed. Here we go. Georgia State goes to Troy. What is Troy? Give me Troy. Where are they? Come on, Troy. Troy. They got shut out 33-0 to Old D. They're an E team with the 24 defense. They'll probably be laying 7 to Georgia State, but I don't know. Well, they're actually 6-4. They just ran into a good Old D team. At home, yeah, they can probably beat Georgia State. Georgia State, they haven't beaten a team. They're 1-9, beating a Division II team. This will be 7, Troy -7, and this could be our free play next week. Troy. It's a 4 p.m. game. Coastal Car goes to South Car. Not exactly what we're looking for as they play South Carolina. Coastal Car will be getting 20 points, depending on the total. South Carolina doesn't score much. What did they do yesterday? Who did they play? They played. Oh yeah, they played Texas A&M, 31-30 or 33, something like that. They played them to it was 30-3, so it was 31-30. So A&M got the 31 on them. They put up 30 on A&M. It doesn't have a great defense. Coastal Carolina, yeah, this game should be an over. South Carolina put up 30. Maybe they've changed something and they started scoring. So it's probably an over. We'll keep an eye on it. Lou Monroe goes to Texas State. We got to love Texas State here. Texas State killed Southern Miss yesterday, an over team with the 34, playing a Z team, Lou Monroe. Texas State, probably the free play next week. We got to see what the line is, of course. But it won't be that much. They were a dog to Southern Miss, but it looks like nobody knew Southern Miss's quarterback was out. Braxton. Naughty boys. New Mexico goes to Air Force. Mexico's an over team with the 25 defense. They were a 53 with Colorado State. I don't think they played a high-scoring game. This game will be in the 50s, if not the 60s. This could be our lock, Air Force under. Now that we realize they're playing a different game and they're playing ball control, Army, Navy, anything in the over 55 to 60 is a lock under because they're going to play their game, and you can't stop it. New Mexico can't stop it. New Mexico's a good team. This game will be 55 to 60. It's an under. So we're going with Air Force, seeing the change, but Vegas won't see it. Vegas will keep with the high number because they're an over team, Air Force. Air Force is they're a 33 defense and they're a 35 offense, but not now. Now they're like a 15 offense and a 15 defense. They went to an under team, but Vegas won't catch it. That's our advantage. All right, so look for Texas State. Look at the games that we like, right? Big Nebraska goes to Penn State. I like Nebraska as a dog. The quarterback's out. Let's not forget that. Both quarterbacks are out. Let's not forget that. Penn State looks a little bit better with the new coach, the new quarterback. Nebraska, we'll see. They did play USC rather well. And they beat UCLA, running it down their throat, which they won't be able to run down Penn State's throat. Pitt at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech barely won yesterday. This is for the conference. They're up for the conference and go to the playoff. They were terrible against BC, but again, they're home against Pitt. Pitt's got their backup quarterback. They played Notre Dame relatively well, but we got enough to go over. The total over was 48, and they scored 55 or something like that. Tennessee goes to Florida. It's always tough at Florida. The Cal Stanford game. Illinois goes to Wisconsin. Probably an under. Illinois will play well. Western Kentucky, LSU. Western Kentucky did win for us yesterday. I didn't play it. They played Middle Tennessee, the Z team, and they were laying 13. They covered that. What do you do against LSU? I don't know. What did LSU do yesterday? I don't know. I got to find them. They were a late game, I think. No. Oh, they beat Arkansas like 23-22. was a 40-point game. The total on the game was 57, so they didn't go over. Their defense is playing better. So LSU, Western, yeah, their defense will probably shut down Western Kentucky. Morning, Alex. Redskins just turned the ball over on downs at the 2-yard line, went for it on fourth. Miami went for it on fourth. Good morning, Alex. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem with pro football. There must be a rule that if it's fourth down, you don't kick your field goal, you go for it. So we've lost 3 points from Miami. I don't know what Miami did when they had the ball at the 11, and then Washington doesn't score here. Again, at the 2-yard line, let's go for it, and it kills the over. So, it was a tiny bet. So that's why I don't really like these London games. They're just, and then you got idiot coaches. So again, I would have thought they ran Mariota, but what are you going to do? Anyway, San Jose State goes to San Diego State. I don't know. San Jose State got killed by Nevada yesterday. I don't know what San Diego State did with Boise. I got to check that score. Utah State, Fresno State, who knows? And then Washington, UCLA at UCLA. This is a good game. There's no travel involved. This is the way it should be. The West Coast teams should just play round robins and then play a couple games east and have them come west. The volleyball player didn't play yesterday. I was surprised they even scored on Ohio State. Nobody really does. Washington, good team. Questions UCLA's defense. Ohio State scored on a 100-yard kickoff return. To add insult to injury, that killed us on our under, was the 100-yard kickoff return. And the score with a minute left to cover, as opposed to just taking a knee like every other team would have done. I don't know, because of the injury. So if you get the quarterback back, maybe it's an over, but no, I don't know. So that's a look ahead at that. We found our Air Force. We found our Texas State, our Coastal Carolina playing South Carolina. That's the problem. You don't really like to move up in class, right? You like playing Coastal Carolina against Arkansas State, against Texas State. You don't really want to play them against South Carolina or LSU or any of those teams. It's really difficult. And it's not a game you want to bet too often. Anyway, but you can see, like the Air Force game, and that's what I look for, are teams switching, but Vegas is clueless, right? Vegas doesn't have Air Force as an under. They still have them as an over. I had them as an over until I dug into the last 5, which is why you dig into the last 5. The difference in pros is they're all playing pro teams, but you have 2 levels. You have the Philadelphia, Kansas City level, and then you have the New Orleans, Tennessee level. So you almost have it like they're the high school team. So you got to see, like Arizona was beating Carolina, New Orleans, Tennessee. They were beating the shit teams, and their stats were skewed because they hadn't really played anybody. And then you had Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore playing each other and not playing the weaker team. So Baltimore today against Cleveland, it's like a holiday. You might play it under also. It's probably an under, but at the time we played Baltimore because they have to win. And Gabriel is not going to beat Baltimore's not losing this game. I don't care about the win. You got Derrick Henry, you got Lamar. They're going to run it down their throats. Yeah, You got whatchamacallit. I keep wanting to call him McGuire, but you got the Cleveland guy, right? Miles Garrett, but he's good against the pass. They'll just run right at him and take him out. That's the way you beat Lawrence Taylor. You ran at him. He beat you with his speed, right? He could go from side to side and run you down, but if you ran at him, you put a tight end on him and block. That's what the Redskins would do. They'd put the tight end and the tackle on him, and they'd run right at him, and then he didn't do anything. So that's what they have to do. Let's check any line. We got Washington. Well, Washington, Miami 13 all with 4 minutes left. Well, maybe we can get 14 points in overtime, 26, 34, 41. We can get there if we go to overtime, or if we can get two more. If we go to overtime at 20, which we got enough time to do. All right, let's check our lines. So it should be 20-20. Both teams had the ball at the 2-yard line. They went for it, but they didn't get it. Great coaching. So theoretically, it could be 20-20, and then the over would have been a W because somebody would have to win unless you had a 0. San Diego 3, 43.5. Pitt 5.5, 48. Green Bay 7.5, 41.5. Minnesota 2.5, 48. Houston 5.5, 37.5. Buffalo 6 and 46. Atlanta 4 and 42. The Niners 3.5, 48.5. The Rams 3, 48.5. That'll be a good game. As KC 4.5, 45 to Denver. I like Denver getting over 10. That's too big of a number. Baltimore 7.5, 38.5. Did that move up? No, 38.5. Philly 2.5, 47, and Dallas 3.5, 50. So nothing really major. All right, let's take a look. So Vegas CEO says we're going broke. This is the idiot at MGM, I believe. Everything's empty. So as I keep saying, and if you have any football questions, just pop them in and we'll go with it. As I'm saying, let's look at Ferrari. What is it? A $600,000-$700,000 car? Well, who are you selling to? You have a very specific, rich clientele market, right? But you're not trying to sell to the working class people or the middle class, the people that make 100 grand, let's say. You're not trying to sell to them. But look what happens when you try to sell $500,000 cars. You have a very small audience because there's not that many people interested in buying a Ferrari or who can afford it. So you leave that part of the market to Toyota and Honda, the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. Then you have Mercedes, who sells $100,000 cars all the way down to $30,000 cars. So they're trying to get a bigger variety on the market. So if the rich want, it's 100 grand. If the poor want, not the poor, but the rest get 30. And really, you have one market, right? You don't have two different Mercedes. You just have a high end and a medium end. Well, that's what Vegas is. But in Mercedes, everybody's welcome to the dealership. They sell to anybody. They realize you can't do 100, so they sell to you. There's $30,000 Mercedes. I would have bought one when I worked there, but they didn't give me any employee discount. So I'm stuck with my Toyota. So what's Vegas trying to do? They have a Toyota market, but they're trying to sell the Ferraris, the Ferrari market. We only want whales. Well, there's not a lot of whales that are interested. Because the whale can also buy the $100,000 Mercedes car. He might say, well, I don't need a Ferrari. Or maybe I get one Ferrari, one Mercedes. Mercedes for every day. So you can have multiple markets, Mercedes in your thing. But what Vegas supposedly is doing, which I don't buy, is, oh, we just want to sell to the whales. And it all comes back to that video I showed you of the real estate trust. And I'm happy to share it again if you want. The real estate trust where they went broke and they sold the casino to the Vanguards and Apollos, who's charging them rent. And they think in order to pay off rent, we have to raise all the prices of everything and resort fees and that, and which they are making a huge mistake. Oh, we're just selling to whales. Well, I just showed you, you can still have a market with includes whales and non-whales, Mercedes. So what is Vegas really doing? They're the stupidest people in the world, which makes sense. The mafia was smart. They knew to have the biggest market they could get and then sell the hot dogs and the hamburgers and the free drinks and no parking and hotels, no resort fees and the shopping, and then get you on the gambling, the slot machines and everything. So what you're basically doing, why do you have slot machines then? MGM, Caesars, all these, because why do you have slot machines? Because the whales aren't going to play slot machines. The whales, what you want them for $100 blackjack and $100 craps. You don't even want them for sports gambling, as Caesars took the poker room. I mean, you're so stupid. You can't see the reciprocal markets. You can't see the reciprocal markets. In other words, if I go bet football and I bring my girl to go, and she said, well, I'm bored. I'm going to go shopping and I get something to eat. And maybe I'll play some slots because I don't know what I'm doing. So by not having a poker room, you keep me out and you keep her from spending. What kind of, what kind of brains is that? I mean, that's kind of stupid. So I don't know. This is the problem. So I think they're going broke on purpose, which makes zero sense. But it makes perfect sense because why would you not lower your prices, get rid of your parking fees? None of them are going to be able to pay the rent. It sounds like the government, right? 38 trillion in debt. They'll never pay it off. But yet here they owe billions of dollars in rent, which they'll go bankrupt, as will the US will go bankrupt. And who's really behind it? And my guess, the Chinese and the Russians will then buy it, with gold. 5 ounces of gold will buy Caesar's Palace. But then they got a big maintenance problem they got to clean up and they got to figure. But that's what you have. So to say that my market is whales, you can still have whales come to your casino. I'm watching the TV show Las Vegas, and Sam would get her whales, and you still had the mom and pops gambling there, and then you had the whales gambling. So you could have both there. Now they're just saying we need to increase prices, but we will have zero visitors. Makes no sense. So I believe China and Russia is behind it. So I don't need to keep playing we're going broke. I was looking at this sphere for 2.3 billion.
When you think of Las Vegas, you think of spectacle, neon, noise, chaos, excess, a city that constantly tries to outdo itself. Bigger casinos, brighter signs, crazier ideas. But even by Vegas standards, what they built in 2023 seemed impossible. A massive glowing orb rising over the desert skyline, 366 feet tall, 516 feet wide, wrapped in 1.2 million LED panels. The Sphere, the most expensive entertainment venue ever built. It was supposed to be the future of live shows, the crown jewel of modern Vegas, a $2.3 billion monument to human ambition. And when it finally opened, it looked like the city had done it again. But 2 years later, the cracks are starting to show, not just in the finances, but in the idea itself, because the Sphere might not be the future of Vegas. It might be the warning sign that the future already arrived, and it's not what anyone wanted. The Sphere was born out of madness, the kind of madness that only makes sense in Las Vegas. It started in 2018 when James Dolan, the billionaire behind Madison Square Garden, announced he was building something that would change entertainment forever. Construction began in 2019. It was supposed to open by 2021, but then the pandemic hit, construction stopped, costs exploded, and by the time the doors finally opened in September 2023, the price tag had doubled, $2.3 billion. For comparison, that is more than Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play football, and on opening night, it looked worth it. U2's Achtung Baby Live at Sphere show was a global sensation. The visuals were unreal. A 16K screen, 167,000 speakers, and walls that moved with the music. Everyone called it the future of live performance. But the hype didn't last long. In its first year, the Sphere reported an operating loss of nearly $480 million. That's not a typo. Nearly $500 million gone in 12 months. Sphere Entertainment Co., which was spun off from MSG, told investors it was a transition year, but even their own financial reports admitted the obvious. Ticket sales, sponsorships, and advertising couldn't cover the massive overhead. The Sphere holds...
Okay, so let's review what's going on with the Sphere. Does it sound like an electric car? Does it sound like a male investment, which is not listening to Say's Law? So Say's Law says, you make what we want. We're the market. We go to work, we get money, we buy. And you make what we want. You don't make what we don't want. You make what we want. Electric cars, we don't want them. They're bankrupting. GM's about to go bankrupt because they lost so much money in electric cars. The stupidest idea I've ever seen. Nobody asked for an electric car. Nobody wants one, but you're making it and you're spending all kinds of money on it and nobody wants it. It's not really good for the US. It's better for Europe, apparently, because a lot of the cities are close. So you can drive from city A to city B, from Paris to London, and it's not that far. You just go into the tunnel, come out, boom, and then you can charge. But it's not really good in America. We're going to fly. We're going to drive to Vegas or drive to Florida. No, you can't. So the Sphere sounds like a male investment. Nobody wanted it. Not only that, it cost $2.3 billion. You have to charge. Let's listen. I think $400, $500 to get in a recession. Nobody has that money, and nobody really cares. Nobody wants to see whatever it is you've got because it's new. Nobody cares about it. Let's see. It tells you how much it costs. Just a second.
18,600 seats, but many shows only fill half that. The average ticket price for U2's residency was between $250 and $400. For Darren Aronofsky's Postcard from Earth, it's about $120. Add in production costs, artist fees, and maintenance, and even sellouts aren't enough.
Listen, paying $14.99 a month for a streaming app and $9.99 a month for a music app and
aren't enough. Remember, this isn't a casino. The Sphere doesn't make money on gambling or hotel rooms. It relies entirely on shows, events, and advertising from its giant exterior LED screen, the Exosphere. That lighting brings in sponsorship money from companies like YouTube, Xbox, and Meta, but nowhere near enough to pay off the debt. The Sphere needs constant world-class residencies to survive, but every show requires a brand new 3D production built from scratch. That makes scheduling complicated, expensive, and slow. It's a technical masterpiece, yes, but also a financial nightmare. Inside the Sphere, everything is custom. The seats, the speakers, even the software that runs the screens. Nothing is standard and nothing is cheap to replace. A single projector can cost over $100,000. The annual maintenance is in the tens of millions. The electricity bill, more than $1.5 million per month during busy season.
So basically, you have these high costs. Not only did it cost you $2.3 billion to do it, but then any maintenance and any replacement is very, very expensive. Problem is, why would I go there to see I can go to Circus Soleil and pay $250 to see Circus Soleil at the Bellagio, at the MGM, at half these casinos. They used to have the Beatles at the Mirage when that was available. It was a couple $100, and you'd see this show, but you don't even have shows there. So you might go once. Are you going to repeat? No. Do you have the money to repeat? No. Well, on one hand, you've got the casinos looking for whales. And as I just told you with Ferrari, there's just a very small amount of whales. But on the other hand, you got the Sphere who's not looking for whales. They're looking for the middle class, people making that 50, maybe 75,000 to 200,000, somewhere in that range. But do they really care about that? They might want to go to the football game. But if you're going to Vegas, you're probably going to gamble, more than likely. So are you really, what is this Sphere? It's a show. Well, I can go see Circus Soleil. I don't need to go to the show, especially at $400. And I take my girl, that's now $800. A family of four, it's going to cost you $2,000 to see a show. You got to be kidding me. So there's no demand for this product. It's nice to see it once, but there's really no demand. Well, I can go to the movies, but you know what? I got stream. I can watch my Netflix. Oh, I'm in Vegas. I can go to the casino. Where I used to be able to get an atmosphere, which I can't now unless I go downtown or Henderson or one of these other ones. Dolphins coach should be fired immediately. They just went for it on fourth down and on the 2 with less than 2 minutes left in the tie game, kick the damn field goal and take the lead. Wow. Well, it could be okay for us, Alex. We go into overtime. Both teams score a touchdown, and we're close to the over. What can I say? Now, we've talked about coaches and fixed games, but this is just ridiculous. What's the spread? Washington, Miami minus 2.5. So you're bitching because they would have taken a 3-point lead, and you're laying 2.5. Otherwise, it doesn't surprise me. He's the worst coach in the league, next to the Tennessee coach and the Houston coach and a bunch of Cincinnati's coaches and too sharp. So again, you have something. So Alex is watching the game. There's demand for the game because he's watching it. The demand comes from him gambling on it. Okay. But what you are looking at is you're looking at something there's no demand for. We didn't say, hey, we want a Sphere. This will be cool. No, we didn't say that. Not only that, it's too expensive. And who has the money to go do something at the Sphere? If I'm a company, I'm going to do my thing at the Sphere. And you got to charge $400. How many people are you going to get? And then you got to set it up. So it's going to cost you a ton to put on a show at the Sphere, which most companies don't have now, in the middle of a fucking recession. So I don't see the point of it. It might be nice to go into, but it's way too expensive. I'm not paying $400 to go in and see it. It sounds like it's a sense around, like those, what do you call those movies? I don't know, the sense around movie, the IMAX. So it sounds like it's IMAX. Well, IMAX, I can go see a movie for $10 or $15, whatever they cost for the movies. even though you don't see too many because most people who make movies don't make them for IMAX. So you have something there's no demand for that was $2 billion, which the break even he'll never get. The shows I'll never get. Again, this is an example of it's counterintuitive. If Vegas is going to the whales and kicking everybody out, who's going to go to see this fair? Who's there to see it? All right, you got the Raiders coming. That's a big mistake because you don't have anybody there. Oh, okay, everybody's flying in on Sunday. Oh, the Raiders play tomorrow night. So you'll have people flying on Monday to see the game to fly out. No activity. Maybe some people are here on today to go see the Raider game. Maybe, I doubt it. Raider fans aren't interested. Their team stinks. Dallas fans, they'll come, but maybe because it's cheaper than in Dallas. But again, the stadiums are pricing themselves out. They're so expensive. You got to charge so much a ticket. That's going to come back to haunt. The only difference is there is big demand for football. Now the tickets, while being $300, $400, $500, I don't see that lasting. I mean, you don't. Do I have $2,000 to go to a football game? You've got to be kidding. You're in a recession. You're going to be lucky to feed your family. You're not going to have that kind of money to do that. So that's where you're at, really, with that. What do we got? So no, again, these are male investments. Electric cars, the Sphere. You can't build it if nobody wants it. You've got to look at the first thing you look at when you're doing some business is there demand, and then what's the price? I always show you this, right? Here's a Ferrari. The price is here, and you got 5 people, and then you lower it to the Camry, which went at 25,000. You had people. You raised the price to 35. There was nobody there. And this is for a Camry where there is demand for it, but nobody was willing to pay 35. He couldn't sell any, so he goes back to 25. So the Sphere is the market's probably here, but you got to sell. You're selling tickets up here. There's no demand for it. And so if Vegas is selling to whales to come in and gamble, which there's no point in selling only to whales, that makes zero sense. Like I say, Mercedes has $30,000 car and a $100,000 car. So everybody walks in, and the higher end go to the 100,000 and the lower end go to the 30. But they can buy a Mercedes. And that's the point of it. Here, there's no point. Vegas is to say they don't want riffraff and they don't want that makes zero sense because you're losing all the peripherals, the drinks, the food, the shopping, the slot machines. You have nobody there to play it. So what they're doing makes no sense. But on the other hand, if the Sphere was hoping that, well, the gamblers are coming to Vegas, they'll want to see this. It's a Vegas thing, which made sense to a point, but it's too expensive. And the maintenance is too expensive. But if that's what you're doing, Vegas just screwed you. All the hotels screwed you because they've raised all the prices and there's no people there. But who's going to go to the Sphere? People that live there aren't, because they all lost their jobs. So the Sphere's there doing what? That's the point. The Sphere is looking for people to come, but there's no people there. And the whales probably aren't interested. If you do, maybe 5 whales will go? Certainly not enough whales to fill the show. So you've got big problems, Sphere. So the Sphere's going broke also. Let's see what other goodies I was looking at. And we got GM collapsing because of the electric car. But let's look at, I was watching, I don't like Bill Hollier, but I'm going to go through a few of the points he did yesterday.
Let me show you something that makes me furious every time I see it. This is a real tax return from someone making $284,972. The paper markets for
the paper markets were the tail on the dog, but the tail constantly wagged the dog because they would overwhelm the physical markets with paper. The problem now is they've done it for so long and to such a grand extent that now there's a question whether these paper contracts are going to be able to deliver. And the answer I think you're going to find in the next month to 3 months, we're going to find out that no, the paper markets are not a substitute for real physical because they have to deliver real physical that does not exist.
One paragraph. China, the world's largest silver refinery.
It does exist, but that's the problem with COMEX. So he is identifying there's paper and physical markets. The physical was way too much to do it. So there's paper was like, 50 times the amount of physical. And the problem with COMEX is it's a paper game. And once people want physical, it blows up because they don't have the physical. The COMEX is gone, and you can see why, because of this paper game. And then people want delivery, which they can't because there's no gold to get. And if they do, the price is going to go to the moon because they'll have to find it. And China has most of it. And that's what you have. But at least he's identifying paper and physical, and it's blowing up, as he's saying.
Is restricting exports and has announced that starting in 2026, all silver exports will require individual government licenses, effectively giving Beijing full control over every ounce leaving the country.
Okay, but what does that mean? Oh, the government controls it. Well, the government controls everything anyway. All governments control everything. It doesn't mean silver won't leave. It just means the government has to stamp on it. Okay, fine. Who cares? It's not like the silver can't leave. It's just the government's controlling it. Okay. So again, he talks, but he doesn't say anything.
This move classifies silver as a resource of national interest, signaling a strategic shift towards state-managed.
Imagine waking up one morning to find the global gold and silver markets frozen, not because prices collapsed, but because no one can deliver the physical metal anymore. According to Bill Holter, this isn't some dramatic fantasy. It's the logical end of decades of distortion in the paper metals market. For years, major institutions have issued far more paper claims than actual gold and silver backing them. These contracts kept prices suppressed while masking a growing shortage underneath. But that illusion is starting to fail. Holter warns that the widening gap between paper promises and real metal could be exposed soon. The question isn't if the system snaps, it's when. Futures and options.
So we've talked about this countless times, and that's what I keep saying. That's why I call it in my title paper gold, because that's the price is paper, not physical. And so basically, they're going to have to pay these contracts, Eddie Murphy, which they won't be able to do because of they don't have enough. There's not enough physical. There's 100 times more paper than physical gold and silver. So where are they going to find the physical from? The only way they can do it is to keep bidding it up to get some. So price will go to 20,000 an ounce to get the gold needed to cover these contracts. Well, we know all about that. All right, a little bit more.
Markets only work as long as physical delivery is possible, and the available metal is vanishing fast. And the consequences stretch far beyond investors. Gold functions as money, but silver is essential to modern civilization. It's in electronics, solar panels, medical technology, and advanced weapons. Holter points out that a single Tomahawk missile uses around 500 ounces.
Yeah, we know that. Silver is money, and the world controls these prices, not the U.S. So if the U.S. is trying to keep it down for Tomahawk missiles or solar panel, it doesn't matter. You couldn't hold the price of gold down. You can't hold the price of silver down. It will go, and that's the point. Well, we got to hold it down so we can afford to get solar panel. No, that's not how it works. The price is set. Look at cocoa. Cocoa's a shortage in Africa. I'm paying $5 for my dark chocolates. Although I heard it's finally coming back, that the supply is growing in Africa. So my candy bars should start coming down. But I don't know if it was a bad harvest or whatever happened there. But again, with weak supply, they have to cover these options or go broke. Well, they'll probably go broke.
Of silver. If supply dries up, entire industries could slow, stall, or collapse. The financial shock would be massive. A delivery failure in gold or silver wouldn't just shake confidence, it could freeze the system entirely. Banks, brokers, and insurers would suddenly be left holding contracts backed by nothing. Holter's advice is straightforward. Keep some of your wealth in real, physical metal outside digital platforms and financial intermediaries. Because when the
Yeah, I wonder where he got that from.
system seizes up, only those holding the actual metal will be prepared.
The market is, I mean, the bottom line is all of the futures, options, paper products, etc., they're all based off of the physical metal in the first place anyway.
No, they're not.
That's why they're called derivatives. They're derivatives of the actual.
No, that's not. He doesn't understand. It's got nothing to do with the physical gold. That's the problem with it. They're based on contracts. They come up with a phony price based on contracts. Got nothing to do with the physical. And they're called derivatives. A derivative is if I bet a football game, I had Coastal Carolina yesterday over and they won. And a derivative is somebody bet that I would win my bet and somebody would bet I would lose my bet. Those are the derivatives, betting on me to win or lose. Just like in The Big Short, the girl is playing blackjack and people are betting she's going to win or she's going to lose. Those are the derivatives, not physical. He doesn't know what he's talking about. What else is new, right?
Product. A concern. There's concern. I mean, if gold were to go, if gold doesn't deliver, the system dies anyway. But if gold doesn't deliver, it's not a direct effect on production, if you will. Silver is used in so many different applications, whether it be industrial, technological, medicinal. I just
Who
did an
cares?
interview
What's he talking about?
every time they shoot a Tomahawk missile, there goes a monster box. You can't make a Tomahawk missile without roughly 500 ounces of silver. So silver will have profound ramifications to the real world, to the real economy. Now, that said, if silver goes failure to deliver or gold goes failure to deliver, you're stuck in the casino because the casino will close. And when the casino closes, and we've talked about this, for the last, year and a half, maybe even 2 years,
I have no idea.
we've talked about the great taking. Once the casino closes and banks and brokers and insurance companies start going belly up, they're going to take your capital with them. And that's why it's so important to get your capital out of the system into something, gold and silver, that cannot bankrupt. And
So what he's trying to say is stay out of the bank, stay out of the stock market, stay out of the bonds, stay out of the real estate trusts like in Vegas. And you put your money in physical gold, silver, which is what we talk about every day. That's why you buy the physical, because they can't fuck with you. But if you're in the bank or the stocks or the real estate, they will take it from you, and it's not yours. And in the fine print, that's what it says. Your stock isn't yours. Now you can pull it out now and you'll be okay. But at the point of the shit hitting the fan, JP Morgan's not going to give it to you. They're going to say, no, we need it. You don't get it. You can't get your money out of the bank. You can't get your money out of the real estate trust. Apollo won't give it to you. Vanguard, for sure. BlackRock won't. As they're losing money, they're going to steal it. So that's why you buy physical. That's why that one guy, Luke, I don't understand. The guy's out of his mind. Oh, I shouldn't have bought the physical because I got to pay tax. No, you don't have to pay tax unless you get a 1099. And as long as you only sell 20 ounces of gold at a time, you don't pay it a 1099. You don't pay tax. Hello, McFly, is anybody home? And then, so it's not a stock. Where a stock, you sell your stock, and this is something totally different. Anyway, that's the problem. So that's what he's trying to warn you what we do. Buy physical, keep it in a safe place. Don't keep it in a safety deposit box at a bank, and keep it in a safe place and at Egon's or whatever. But if you're in the stocks or the bonds or the real estate trust or the annuities and the insurance, you're fucked, because that will go out and you'll lose your money because they're going to keep it. And that's kind of what he's saying.
Place where it can't be taken from you. All right. Well, going back to visit the late 2019 episode, that was just before COVID, and the repo rates spiked to 10%, and that the Fed was having to put $100+ billion into that market every single night so it could clear. Then conveniently along came COVID, and two things happened. The real economy worldwide was definitely stunted or shut down, whatever you want to call it. There was less demand for credit because of COVID, and it allowed central banks all over the world to flood the markets with liquidity. Problem solved. Not solved, but the can was kicked down the road. Here we are again. We're nowhere near where we were in October of 2019, but the overnight rates are starting to move higher again. It's a concern and should be watched.
If you're looking to upgrade your heating system this fall or winter, then this is hands down the system you need to be looking at.
Again, it's a concern and should be watched. Again, everything, whether it be the real economy, production, consumption, transit, and also the financial.
I don't know what he's talking about. This is the problem with these guys. You lose it. They just don't know. Why is the fountain blue? We looked at yesterday. Mark McGuire. Let's look at a little bit of Mark.
And they'll be on site. And this unassailable mandate to back the yuan with gold stretched all the way back to 2010. I know we've looked at it before, but people are not, they forget this has been in process, much like a lot of the Chinese initiatives. They are decades, centuries in play. And in this case, goes all the way back before 2010, but officially in 2010, after China opened up and encouraged citizens to invest in gold. Was occurring. Now, this window of opportunity to buy physical silver at or below $50, and $50 is $49.90 in futures. So any opportunity to buy silver below that price is very, very short-lived if there are any more pullbacks. And back over to the spot chart here, which is reflecting the real price. Essentially, with specs flushed into very tight supply, liquidity providers estimate silver will regain and blow through its all-time highs, which were here in October, well before the end of the year. And in fact, we're looking at potentially a lot quicker. On aggregate, first quarter of 2026 estimates a minimum of $80. And it seems like a stretch, much like when we looked at the beginning of the year, and we're talking about the 50s being overtaken very quickly. This is coiling to happen. In fact, it's more likely $140 per ounce before enough offers to sell to meet demand. Now, while this COMEX December contract to spot backwardations are somewhat normalizing, it's not because the LPMCL stocks have rebuilt. It's because the silver cartel is having to bend the knee to the SGEI global-facing price-setting hub. And that is determining a daily supply-demand bid and offer price for immediately deliverable bullion, not a paper-settled price, which this futures contract still indicates. So if I hop over to the spot chart at this point, you can see that this price is actually still up, the spot price is still above the futures price. Now, Beijing's official export controls announced last week were quickly responded to by the US, who also announced similar retaliatory measures. Now, this has caught out the LPMCL, holding the bag on some $4 billion of underwater SLV short positions. In other words, the ETF silver that is held in the SLV exchange. The silver's not there anymore, anywhere close to current prices to repay these naked short bets. So at best estimate, net of their hedges and short covering footprints into the manufactured spec margin call at $54, and it was $54.38 in spot, and $53.765 in futures. At best estimate, these stops, or the sweet spot, I would not call it a sweet spot in this case, but their balance point would be around about on aggregate, and if you net out the margin calls, the bets against silver likely aggregate really at this $45 futures level. Now that is some $10 per ounce. At $50 a contract, that's $10 an ounce below liquidity providers' year-end $55 estimate. In fact, which has been pretty much upgraded to around 58 now, but just even assuming 55, this level here, that is still $10 offside per contract. We're talking about a $4 billion net short position. Now, the point we're trying to
there's a point to this.
Is these deeply underwater short bets have to be bought back, exacerbated by an institutional side SLV backdoor drain. So other than what can be drained out of the COMEX backdoor, where else are you going to get any silver into tight supply? And the answer is a real seller in the SGEI hub, physical
Shanghai.
So as a result, leasing silver from SLV, etc., to sell into the market to cap prices is drying up. In fact, with Loco London largely pushing on a string to short cover, an underpriced SLV is actually being cashed in to meet significantly higher SGEI determined physical delivery benchmarks. These bets will have to be short covered at a big loss. Now, while these
He's terrible at explaining what does the back door mean, and
Also, just call it
a lot of the stuff he says, you're like, what are you talking about?
That's when Mr. Pibb is just getting started. When Mr. Pibb takes you. Not long ago, General Motors was still considered the last remaining.
And they'll be on site.
So he's terrible at explaining. He shows the charts. You lose concentration because you can't follow him because he doesn't talk English. This is the problem I have with Mark, especially when he shows the charts. Like, I don't know what he's trying to explain. These the wrenches and the whatever these words are. He says, I local London, this, that, and the other. I don't know what he's saying. Nobody knows what he's saying. And this is, I pride myself in talking English that you can understand. And I think most people, except for Luke, get that. Here, I can't follow him. Plus, I can't concentrate. Once he goes to the charts, what are you showing me? Just say it. Don't show it. And I tell him that, and he's just still does what he wants. So I don't know, but let's see, where am I? So he's very, very bad at explaining. And then he doesn't talk in English. He talks these critical words. Anyway, the one thing we're looking at, and the difference between the sphere and gold, is me and you have a huge demand to buy physical gold and silver. And look at the price, and they're running out of it. Then look at the sphere. Nobody wants to go. The price is very expensive. and nobody wants to pay for it because there's no point in it. There's no gain. I'm not going to pay $400 to see a show, maybe $100 for Circus Olay once, but gold and silver, I will. It's in my best interest to buy an ounce of gold for 4,000, or as we were at 1,700, 2,000. It's my interest to buy silver at 50. It will benefit me. There's a reward for buying physical. But to go to the Sphere or to go to Vegas, there's no reward for me to go. There's no reward for the parking. There's no reward for the resort fee. There's no reward for expensive hamburgers and drinks. There's no reward to not have a poker room like Caesars does. There's no value. There's no fair trade. Going to Vegas, there's no fair trade. I'm not. You're charging me for things I don't want or need, and a lot of it's misleading. To go get a hamburger, pay $29, not a fair trade. And I can get them here for $7. I can go to Coney and get a hamburger for $7. I can go to my grocery store, and there's I think $6 a pound. So I can get 3 pounds of burger, make all these. I can make 12 hamburgers for $18. That you're charging me $30 for one, and who knows what kind of meat it is anyway. You're probably cutting costs there too. So Vegas there's no fair trade and there's no market for it. There's a market here with $5 blackjack and free parking and that, and you're trying to sell me something up here and there's no market for it. So you're killing me there. And the Sphere is the same thing. Is there even a market for Sphere? But then you want to charge me up here where there's no market, there's no value, there's no fair trade to go see it. I could walk around the casinos and see nice stuff. I'll show you this. I have a picture. This is a $18 million sculpture at the Wynn. I didn't have to pay a nickel. I just walked through it. Here's a nice Christmas tree. I didn't have to pay a nickel. This is at the Wynn. Here's a statue at Caesars. I didn't have to pay a nickel. I'm just walking through it. Here's Apollo. Or what's the horse? Apollo? That I can see at Caesars. Here's this beautiful mall with the sky. See, all this I don't have to pay for, right? But you want to charge me, like even at the Venetian, look at the ceiling. It's all artwork. I don't have to pay for that. I just walk through and I see it. So what are you doing? So you come up with this Sphere, and what's the point of it? I mean, like here, there's this nice sculpture in front of Caesars. Here's some more. So what are you doing? What are you doing with that? Let's see if I get any. So what are you doing? What are you showing me in the Sphere? I don't need it. Well, by the way, I did the 10-team teaser with Daniel yesterday. We won all the college games, 6 for 6. We've got 4 pros to make like $2,000 a day. So let's see what we see. Hopefully they come in and get a little Christmas gift. There's demand to bet football because there's a reward and there's no tax on it. Gambling in itself, poker and slot machines and all that it's a fair trade. Slot machines are entertainment, but poker, you can use your mind, and if you're good at it, or craps, kind of back rack. You can use skill to win at it, and you don't have to pay tax. So there is demand. There's a fair trade to gamble. I might make 10 grand. So the hope's there. You're killing the hope by raising the prices. So there's no fair trade. I'm not going to play $100 a hand blackjack. $10 a hand, maybe. $5, yeah. But you charge me 100, there's no point in it. So what Vegas is doing is killing the whole point of it. So that's what I don't understand what they're doing. And then to try to say, well, we only want whales because we'll make more money. Well, that's not guaranteed. The only guarantee is the free parking in the hotel is your guarantee. You're not even guaranteed the food. He might go to a restaurant off the strip. He's not going to eat at your restaurant. He's the whale, probably shopping at a different mall. Sports betting, I don't know. But the whale wants things for free. He doesn't want to pay for anything. I watch enough Las Vegas and James Caan to see that, you didn't comp me. That's why I gamble here, is to get the comps. So you've killed all that. So your whole story doesn't make any sense. It's just bullshit, right? You're just bullshitting everybody. All right. A little more Mark McGuire.
55, like we said in the recording, just the recording I made a little while ago. Drilling down into what we'd observed in our last episode, while the LPMCL, the cartel, had been able to paper over the worst of its real physical silver shortages, assisting in somewhat narrowing this deeply backwardated futures to spot basis spreads. If you remember, we talked about there was the spot was trading at $3 higher than futures, $15,000 per contract above.
So what's backwardation? I don't know. It's something about the spot price being over the future price, I believe, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't talk Chinese. But again, if he's going to use those words, he's got to say it. When he says we're going to drain, we're draining the shorts out, we're draining the speculators. Who are the speculators? What do you mean by draining? And we got the speculators out. I mean, I don't know what he's talking about. I have an idea that people who are bet short have lost, so they won't come back, but I'm not sure that that's a reality. People lose in football and they keep coming back. People lose in the lottery. People lose in the stock market. They keep coming back unless they're absolutely broke. So I don't know what he's talking about. And he's got a bad point of explaining himself.
They're still in backwardation today. This should not be occurring so close to the largest options expiry of the year on the 24th of November. And it illustrates there is still a massive lack of paper supply to meet international facing demand, where paper supply has to be turned into physical. And while these same four LPMCL actors, the cartel, also have a footprint in the COMEX, and they do have a footprint in the SGEI, the international facing Shanghai Gold Exchange hub. And they've
Don't
raced
say
to ship silver
Shanghai,
back
don't
into
say
London
SGE.
to avert what was definitely a full default. As soon as this bullion lands, it's just drained immediately. That's why we've got backwardations. And as we have identified before, liquidity providers were reporting in capitals, very strong SGE demand into mainland export controls. And while the SGEI silver was shipped out by the LPMCL to capitalize on interim local London shortages scrambling, these shortages still exist. But so as to not drive the silver prices higher, while they scramble to buy back these ETF shorts way before China and the US officially announced silver was being added to export controls, these restrictions were already quietly being applied by stealth. However, being having secured sufficient silver liquidity for the international facing SGEI, the Free Trade Zone Exchange, to have emerged, it's emerged as the global price setting hub. So Beijing has taken the gloves off, forcing the US to belatedly respond, also officially adding silver to its critical minerals list. How can that be bad for silver? Completely under the radar of siloed COMEX traders, this is chasing synthetic cash settled silver warrants from pillar to post. I mean, this is a ludicrous situation. I cannot believe it still exists. This opportunity still exists. And I'm not talking about buying. I'm talking about buying warrants to try and make a profit. What I'm talking about is using this diluted price to stack, to buy physical. So they're just chasing. In the meantime, these guys are chasing it up and down the screen. They look at a moving average. Oh, and that's so rearward looking. I mean, we're talking about a time when there was the physical markets were not in control. And they're just chasing, the moving average, let's buy and sell. And what fools. I mean, these export controls into already tight supply and strong demand will ultimately force the price cap to come off. And they're not going to see why. And while
So what he's saying is the speculators who are not buying physical, who are playing this stupid COMEX game, who we bitch at for the price dropping for no reason because of the 50-day moving average. What he's saying is the game's over, right? And they're not going to realize why they short it and it keeps going up and they keep losing their shorts. But as I've said, and what he's saying is it's a beautiful time to buy because this gold price should not be anywhere near 4,000. The silver price should not be anywhere near 50. It should be 500 to 1,000 at least, and gold should be about 10,000. So because they're pushing the price down with these moving averages and that, these whoever the speculators are or whoever's playing this stupid option game are doing us a favor by keeping the gold price low and the silver price low so we can buy the physical. Because the more we buy, the happier we're going to be when the shit hits the fan and everybody gets crushed because very few people realize the dollar is worthless. That's the number one thing I don't understand. If I say the dollar is worthless, it's worthless. I explain why. They printed it. They've inflated it. I still laugh when these people call it debasement. You debase the gold out of the gold coins in Rome. You do not debase this. This is not debasement. It's inflation. Inflation is not prices. You still get the idiots. Oh, inflation's more than 3%. Dude, inflation is printing the money. It's inflating the money. It's got nothing to do with prices. The reason prices go up, it takes more money to buy Campbell's soup, let's say, or Coca-Cola. So it takes more money to buy it. But even at the grocery store, I see a lot of sales, get two pops for $5 to 2 liters. I saw a diet squirt I'd buy once in a while, 4 for $4, because they can't sell it at $2.50 or $3.50, whatever they're trying to sell it at. And I think Coke is just pushing it, but then they can't sell it, so it goes 2 for $5. I don't know why Coke's raising their prices. But anyway, that's what you have in this. Why can't I get? Anyway, so that's a lot of what it is this. It's all the COMEX paper, which is not a real price. It's a paper. So he's calling for $8,000 gold. To me, it's worth at least 10, if not 20, just because the dollar everywhere in the world is worthless. So both the euro, the Swiss franc, the US dollar, the British pound, all this is worthless because it's not backed by anything. And when you keep printing it, because you got government debt everywhere, you got the defense, you've got the interest on the debt, you've got all the government employees because every country's the same. you're not making enough revenue to pay all your expenses. What do you think's going to happen? Well, we'll print more. Well, you can't print more because the money you print makes your money worth even less. So that's what's happening. Well, all right, a little bit more, Mark.
Myopic silver future specs are run from pillar to post around the rearward-looking moving averages in the real world. Deeply backwardated silver futures to spot conditions telegraph a synthetically coiled spring is ready to release, not necessarily with the speculators on board. So this counterintuitive leverage synthetic futures driven silver capping action that we've seen, which just broke out, and I've just seen, so we're now currently at 52.60 and rising. And don't expect the fact that these guys are not going to sit back, but they've lost control of the physical markets. So basically, what's happening is the COMEX is ignoring, these traders are ignoring these deeply oversold tight physical supply conditions, and it's pricing silver at an actionable discount that is anticipated to force a larger supply short squeeze. And as liquidity providers already affirmed before we broke out above 50, I said it yesterday, sub-spot 50 was ridiculously bargain territory. What a difference to what we saw when we recorded our last episode. Now, this morning's assessment of strong global silver demand into burgeoning official export controls, which are beginning to be more noticed, which are creating tight supply and all happening into oversold, backwardated conditions, this will place spot 55s into the crosshairs quicker than is currently factored in by any of these traders.
Hey, Andrew, thanks for the update on silver. But we also had in the last 2 weeks a lot of questions where would you see the physical gold support at this point?
Absolutely, Shane. Let's have a look at that. Now, in gold, continued official efforts to try and cap spot gold at 4,000, which actually just happens to be 4,350 in futures, also backfired on Monday. Very strong central bank, sovereign, and institutional demand has been taking everything on offer at around 4,000, and they're now ready.
So what he just said in English is high demand. And when you have high demand, unlike Vegas, so Vegas, what do you have? You have no demand. You priced it where the demand, there's no demand there. We'll pay, $300 for a trip. We'll pay $5 blackjack. We'll pay no resort fee, no that. But the market's here and you're there. So there's no demand, nobody there. Gold, the demand is here and the price is here. So they'll buy everything you got because the demand is over the price. So when you've got high demand, you've got high price. That's why the 2-liter Coca-Cola is on sale, because nobody wants it at that. The price for Coke is maybe $2 or $2.50. You want to sell it for $3.50. There's no demand. So you've got to find where your market is, where your demand is. And so what he's saying, strong demand. So as long as strong demand from central banks and BRICS, we're happy campers because we know the price is going to go up. Now we see them trying to push the price down, these so-called, what does he call them? I don't know, whatever we just said, the speculators. So whatever these speculators see the price go up going, oh, we got to short it because it's going to go, it's too high. But they're not looking at the right thing anymore. It's like me catching Coastal Carolina going, wait a minute, they're way our Air Force. They're not an over team anymore. They're an under team, and they're pricing it as an over team. And it's the same thing here. The speculators seeing gold go up going, oh, it's too high. And no, it's not. And then the central banks buy it on the dip, and these guys are losing their ass, the speculators. So again, high demand, gold and silver means high prices. So we just buy the dips as, thank you for making it lower. So that's what we kind of look at. So a little bit more, but he's already saying $8,000 gold. I say it's $20,000 gold. I don't even, it's on its way. I mean, it's going to be 100,000, right? It's going to be infinite because the dollar is going to be gone and the demand for gold is going to be so high that they don't have enough, that it's going to be much higher than that. But we can't really put a number on it and we can't really put a time on it, but we know it's headed there, right? We can see a storm coming, right? So we know it's going to rain, but we don't know exactly when.
Is their bids to 4,100, which happens to be a spot, which happens to be 4,105 futures. Now, given there is strong options demand and short stops at and above 4,100, it was no surprise to see these vulnerable shorts getting attacked on the way up. Now, much like we looked at in silver, these very same actors have short stops above 41.75 in gold. And if you remember, in silver, it was at 51.83. So moving back to gold futures, that's where the stops are. Now, is it any coincidence that we are seeing Asian buying physical, was selling paper, pit, open, sell, pit, open, sell, pit, open, sell, pit, open, sell. We've just had the pit open again. It is running out of steam. Why? Because the physical markets are underpinning this move. And just like we evidenced at 3,900, 4,000, we're now seeing very, very, very strong, seeing dips below 4,100 now being attacked, i.e. attracting central bank sovereign and institutional buy interest. Now, liquidity providers assess similarly imbalanced GLD ETF shorts would be forced to be repaid well above 4,000, and that is significantly offside. So following the CTA hands getting flushed out, that was the speculative, the non-sticky CTAs, the speculators getting flushed out of the gold ETFs, and good riddance, very sticky institutional ETF demand is also returning, forcing GLD short covering. Now, just to understand what was being attempted by the cartel, was a second weekly close. Now, we had a weekly close below the prior week's week. Then last week, this was they attempted one more time to get a second weekly close lower, and they failed. And they failed because everyone at $4,000 were a buyer. So following 3 weeks of pretty much sideways action, officially capped footprints, all official capping efforts to close gold below 4,000 into that weekly close failed, and it's backfired, serving to coil gold for a larger rebound from deeply oversold conditions here. And what it's done is, as we drew this in last time, this has established the next in a higher series of footprints.
So basically, this is paper gold and derivatives versus physical, which is 10 times higher. And so we just see what's happening, and why COMEX is permitted to play, I don't know. Why physical gold is using COMEX to price it, I have no idea. But in our minds, it's great because they lower the price of gold and silver, and then we buy it for cheap. We're buying it at 1,700, 1,800. Gold should have been 10,000. We're buying silver. We're buying it at $25 an ounce. Should have been 200, 500, whatever. We don't really know what this price is in gold and silver. We know the demand's much higher. We know everybody's going to need it because the dollar, all these paper dollars are worthless. We know that. What we have here is COMEX joke. So it's They play it, but they keep the price low for us so we can just keep buying it and buying it and buying it. So it's a stupid game. Anyway, let's go watch some football. Your free play is Baltimore -1.5. I think it's a 4 o'clock game. Good luck there. Beautiful day yesterday in college. And so many winners. And then today, we're hoping for a big day. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 8 plays today. I think we had 9. We had Washington over, which obviously didn't get there because they kept going for it at the 2-yard line and they couldn't score, which is just amazing. Great play calling. But as Alex is saying, why is the coach in a 13-13 game with 2 minutes left not kicking the field goal to get the win? Why is he going for it? Does he know what he's doing, or is this just this fixed where he couldn't win by 2.5? See, this is where the mafia comes in. Are they told not to win by 2.5? So he goes, he's got the ball at the 2-yard line. He goes for it, does a stupid play. They don't get it because they could only win by 2, and they're not in a situation to win by 2. So he can't score. Is that where we're at? Was there that much action on Miami to keep the spread under 2? That's what it sounds like, because only an idiot would not kick a field goal when there's 2 minutes left in the game and a tie game and kick the field goal to win. Are you not playing to win? And that's where this guy thinks like an idiot anyway. So anyway, that's what we have. So good luck today. I hope you have it. We'll get into more economics tomorrow. And otherwise, good luck on your football. If you bought from me, you know what the locks are. So good luck on that. And we'll go from there. So have a great day. My new lucky shirt. I bought this up north, July 4th, and just love the color, the nice green and everything. So it's I was very lucky last night. So we're hoping for good luck. And that's why you see me wear, like you'll see me wear it tomorrow or whatever. It's just, this is the only time I wear it, and for luck watching the games. But anyway, the only game I was really surprised was Alabama in a revenge game against Oklahoma, who really doesn't have that great of a defense. And, the 80-yard pick 6. So that was it. But had the Georgia-Texas game called, had the Utah game called, Coastal Carolina, Marshall. So all of our good games won. So have a good day, www.teaserking.com. Take care, everybody. Good luck today, and I'll see you tomorrow, about 11-ish, 10:30, 11. All right, good luck. www.teaserking.com, of course.